Gather around. It's time for the show to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, this is...
Hey everyone, my name is Jason.
Hi friends, it's Desiree Josen.
All right, there were so many matches this year that were just too much.
So this won't be a shocker because we've had a handful of really awesome matches that we just can't stop talking about.
How many times have these guys fought? Like it's been quite a bit.
I've been saying this all year. They're just so great to watch. We saw the heel turn coming, and then when it happened, nice and bloody, both dramatic and beautiful.
You are now entering the ring with Chutes and Ladders podcast. Here are your hosts, Desiree and Jason.
Chutes and Ladders, knee-jerk reactions. What's going on, everyone? My name is Jason.
Hi friends, it's Desiree Josen.
All right, welcome to this episode of Knee-Jerk Reactions, where we take a deep dive into WWE's most abrupt and surprising changes. Today, we're breaking down those sudden moves and what they really mean. Des, what are your initial thoughts on these knee-jerk moments?
WWE is getting a smack on their hand, and, they have been acting up and causing a little bit of chaos lately, and I'm not sure if I'm a big fan of it, but we have a lot to say, so this will be very interesting, and I'm very interested to see what the viewers think as well.
All right, first up, the big shocker, R-Truth's release. Des, what is your take on that? What do you think led to it, and how do you feel about it?
I think it was a terrible decision just because I get it. He may have not been one of the top characters and the top guys in the business, but he was something who was pretty solid and could bring a lot to it. And I didn't agree with it, but I'm glad. That just shows the power of social media, the power of the fans, where this happened with Cody and his WrestleMania 40 storyline with The Rock and Roman. A lot of things can change with, what technology and what the fans say. So it's a very loaded question to say because there's a lot of moving parts with this, but I did not agree with it, and I'm glad he's back.
Yeah, you said it right. I really do think that this is the power of social media and the power of the fans saying, hey, look, this is a long-beloved character. We're not going to let him go out like this.
No.
This is how we feel. Luckily, they are more inclined to listen to the actual these social media kind of just outbursts and these defenses. The social media has already changed major storylines. Biggest one, Cody getting his match against Roman Reigns and winning the title. And I think the social mediaites of WWE have struck again. And round of applause.
Yeah, and another thing too, just going off of that idea, look what happened with WrestleMania this year and Karrion Kross. And he just did a quick interview where he just felt like he wasn't being pushed, and just little things regarding his merch and other certain people being sold during main events to the point where now his shirt was sold at every show and is now the number one or one of the top selling merch items, and he's appearing now on TV with Scarlett. It's just those little things. You got to push yourself and put yourself out there for people to push for you. So fans, keep it up. We're doing a great job.
Absolutely. All right, next on the list, Gunther winning the title from Jey Uso. Des, what's your reaction to that surprising title change?
I know a lot of people weren't happy, and Rikishi was not happy at all. I tell you that. You know what? I didn't expect it. I knew that there was a title match, and, usually if you have a feeling that they're going to lose, they would make it a bigger, they would build it up more. And it wasn't. It was just more of their regular feud. And so when I went into that, I was like, no, it's going to be a good one. It's going to be scrappy, but Jey is still going to keep the title. Granted, there have been talks, and, we hear fans go on about Jey not being the best on the mic and not being their champion, but I think overall, he's a great entertainer. He has, he's improved throughout the years. So I'm like, give him a break. He's a cool over character for WWE.
All right. Now, WrestleMania 42 venue change. Shifting gears, WrestleMania 42's location change caught a lot of people off guard. Des, what's going on there? And what do you make of the switch?
You know how I feel about this. I am so mad because we had plans on going to New Orleans and driving. I already got my time off approved for work for WrestleMania week, not even weekend. I got that week approved. And I'm like, I'm going to New Orleans and it's going to be like FSU all over again, except it's going to be WrestleMania. We were going to go together and hang out. And I'm like, I get to save some money because I don't have to worry about a plane ticket. You know, we go down I-10. I had all these plans. And I was like, this is great. I just got to spend money on the ticket and the hotel and some fun. No big deal. This is great. What? We're going back to Vegas? Nothing wrong with Vegas. I get it. But it's very expensive. And yeah. And I think it's fair to go back and forth to the East Coast and West Coast. And I love the fact with Mania, you get to go to different cities and it helps promote their tourism and you get to go somewhere. So if we settle in Vegas every few years, I'm not into it.
Yeah, my heart broke because we had some good times in New Orleans when we were Florida State. So, yeah, that's part one. Part two, I'm actually going to flip it to the opposite way. Why pay for the same experience twice?
Right.
That's actually my take on this because I'll just give you a brief rundown of my Fanatic experience. Whenever a team won, so when I first got to Fanatics, the Pittsburgh Penguins won the Stanley Cup. They haven't won X amount of years. People were buying championship memorabilia, all as well. They won the next year again. No one bought anything because they already bought championship memorabilia. It wasn't as big of a deal. I'm actually playing this card for this particular instance. If you waited 4 or 5 years, yeah, people would be hyped to go back to Vegas. Back to back, you're going to get basically the California people and people on the West Coast, fine. But if I lived in New York or, obviously I'm in South Florida, but New York or South Florida, Nashville, wherever the case is, if I already paid all that money to go the first time, not doing it again. So I wouldn't be surprised if this actually has a much less turnout, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm really disappointed.
Now, back-to-back PLEs, we've talked about this at length, but WWE's really running this to the ground. And with all these back-to-back PLEs shaking things up, Des, what do you think the impact is on the fans and the storylines?
I am exhausted. And like, I feel like I am one of those fans. I'm an old school fan that loves like the big PLEs. I feel like they should come every few months and we watch our weekly shows to build up to those main events and storylines. Sure, let's throw in a Saturday night main event or Night of Champions or a Backlash maybe once every quarter. And then we'll have our big ones like Rumble, Mania, SummerSlam, those kind of things where we have something to build upon. Is it me, but are we having a PLE every 2 weeks? And it's ridiculous. And I just feel like we're being rushed into storylines and matches where feuds and just things aren't built up the way they need to be built up. Like, I can't believe something after 2 weeks and then you win a title or you go into this big main event match and I'm just not emotionally involved or at least there yet. And also too, another thing is money. They are charging a lot of money now for these main events that are going to be every few weeks. So, and then the fact that they're making them weekend things, not just a one night, it's becoming 2-day events. It's a lot of money and people are traveling and I am one of those that does it if I can, but it's a little outrageous because I would love to go to Saturday night main event in Atlanta. That's a 6-hour drive for me, but it's, $800 to over $1,000 to go. And, it's just like, I get it, but I just feel like it's becoming back to back to back and it's just I feel like it's too much and it's just watering down what could be really great.
Oversaturation waters down your product. That's a guarantee.
I get it. They love to go to these bigger places, international. The crowds are fantastic, but it's a lot.
Yeah, 100%. All right, last but not least, we've got the Royal Rumble winners in the spotlight, with Jey Uso now dethroned and Charlotte making a shocking heel turn. Des, what are your thoughts on these big moments?
You know, it's not what they thought would how, and when I say they, I feel like it's what creative didn't think would happen. And so when they made these decisions to have Jey Uso win, which we were behind that because we were originally rooting for Cena, and then Jey won, we're like, that's great. That makes complete sense. And then the fans turned around and said, I don't want him as a champion. But now look at us, where he's been our champion for a few months and he's been killing it. And now he's dethroned by Gunther for basically a very old storyline that probably will be a little bit of a disappointment with Goldberg. It's just those little things. And then with Charlotte, the fact now that I did not like her winning. I was not behind that. I felt like other people should have won. And I think they thought that with her coming back, the fans would be excited, which, some were, but with her coming in and then automatically winning and thinking she was going to be on top again, I don't think so, my friend. That's just not how it works anymore. And, they ended up thinking that she was going to be a face, and then she had to do a quick heel turn. And you could tell, I don't think she's enjoying it. And I haven't seen her. I mean, it feels a little off. So I just feel like these kind of, with creative being like, let's just throw them in and have them win. It's just, I feel like they're not thinking long run, or they're thinking of other things trying to throw us off as fans, and it's just not working. I don't know. I just feel like a lot of it was kind of messy.
Yeah, 100%. It didn't work. Honestly, sometimes you have to call a spade a spade. Both those things that we just talked about, they're misses. Yeah. And if they want to do it right, you are now in a position where you can kind of just slowly backtrack and fix things and all be well. I think that's what they should do.
Yeah.
All right, Des, and after all these surprising twists and turns, what are your final thoughts on WWE's knee-jerk reactions lately?
I mean, they've surprised me, but not in a good way. I think it's good. I get it. They're going to have to pivot creatively. This is a business and this happens. But what I do appreciate is that they are now taking into consideration social media and the fans and listening and, trying to do what is best for them as a business, but also with us fans that are, we're the ones that bring in the money. So I think it's, we got to find a balance, but I know we're going to have our good times and our bad times. So right now, let's get back uphill.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Exactly. All right, that actually wraps up this episode of Knee Jerk Reactions. What do you think about these sudden WWE moves? Drop us a DM at the Shoots and Ladders. And as always, please like, share, and subscribe both on YouTube and Spotify. Once again, my name is Jason.
I'm Desiree Josen.
All right, until next time, have a blessed day and a blessed week.
Bye, friends.
This has been Shoots and Ladders. Follow us for more content.